I'm on a voyage of discovery. We have traditions and foods and people and places that make this country unique. And I've hit the road with my rather groovy little caravan in pursuit of Britain's peculiarities.
Anchors away.
In today's show, I take on some 10-legged critters. I track down traditions in danger of dying out.
You have to be kind of mad, don't you, to kind of do something like
Not
this?
kind of, just definitely.
And from the kitchen in my caravan, I try to do justice to some of Britain's best local ingredients.
Into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Gas mark 7. Today, I'm in Norfolk. It's a county of wetlands, flatlands, seashore, and Broads. And I'm not talking about women, although obviously they've got some of those here too. It's got a very long coastline, so seafood plays an important part in the cooking around here, despite the fact that some of the fishing grounds are very treacherous. In fact, they've called one the Devil's Throat because they've had so many shipwrecks there. It's also one of England's biggest counties, and Noel Coward famously described it as very flat. Oh, he had such a way with words.
Norfolk is the 5th largest county in England and gets its name from the Anglo-Saxon for place of the North folk. In the 12th century, East Norfolk was the most densely populated area in Britain, and a shortage of timber meant people started to dig for peat as an alternative fuel. 200 years of digging left massive peat holes, which flooded to create what has famously become known as the Norfolk Broads. It's also the peaty soil in Norfolk's low-lying inland areas that make it perfect for growing crops, like wheat. More wheat is grown here than in any other part of Britain, creating enough flour to bake 250 million loaves of bread every year. They've also got a particular accent. I may need a bit of practice with this one.
Wayborn, or Wayburn, or Wayborn, Wayburn. Who knows how they talk around here?
My first destination today is the picture postcard seaside town of Cromer, which you may be interested to learn means Crow's Pond, though it's actually known for another creature, a creature with rather more legs, 10 legs in fact, the crab, the Cromer Crab, well known because it has a higher proportion of white meat to dark meat, and people generally prefer the white meat. The crabbing fleet here used to be huge, now there's only 12 boats left. And I'm going to go on one.
The sight of fishermen in small boats pulling up crab pots in the early hours is something most people around this area remember well. For hundreds of years, crab has given Cromer its economic backbone. No one quite knows what makes the Cromer crab so unique. Some say it's the seabed, a combination of sand, chalk and flint with no mud to taint the meat, while others believe it's their slow growth and smaller size that make them so delicious. John Davis is the 8th generation of his family to take to the sea. He's been crabbing since he was a boy. That's him with his granddad 35 years ago when he was just 11. Oh.
You must be John.
Well dressed like that? I guess you're right. How are you doing?
I am, yes. So I've borrowed these. Do you think they're going to work? I've come all the way to Cromer to catch some crabs, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. And this is the boat we're going to go out on?
Yeah, this is a boat. This is a Richard William.
Yeah?
We'll be going on this morning.
Named after?
Named after my late father.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Well, how do we get it in the water?
You leave that problem up to me.
All right.
A tractor and trailer will soon be afloat.
Okie dokie.
All right?
Let's
Come
get
on.
on.
We better climb aboard.
Anchors away.
John still catches his crabs in traditional crab pots, but his boat is as 21st century as they come.
How far are we going?
They got to be going about a mile off. That's about as far as we're going this morning.
How do you know where your crab pots are? You've got them marked with a buoy, have you?
Well, years ago they were all marked with the land and with buoys, of course. And nowadays you're all in your GPS plotter, and
Yeah.
depth sounder, radio, all the mod coms.
Yeah. But then, in the end, you're just picking up some crab pots.
In the end, we're just picking up some crab pots.
Like
yeah,
they did
that's right.
about 200 years ago.
Exactly.
John comes from a long line of crabbers. He never questioned going into crabbing himself, but his children don't feel the same.
You say you might be the last generation?
Yeah, my son and my daughter. Well, the son now, he's 21 and he's not particularly interested in it.
Yeah,
The world is now not such a bigger
What's he
place as
going
it
to do?
was.
Be an accountant?
Unfortunately not. I wish he was. I don't know what he's going to do, and I don't think he's completely sure yet.
Yeah.
But
No,
he's
that's
pretty
all right.
sure he's not got to sea for a living.
Yeah.
So with no natural heir to take over the reins, or should I say pots, I'm worried he might have his sights set on me.
Charlie, don't be frightened to make use of him, you know. He's not just a passenger.
The crab pots are baited with fish and tied together in rows of 25. This is called a shank. The shanks are dropped to the bottom of the sea and spaced 6 feet apart. John's catching plenty of crabs in his pots, but there are some that aren't quite ready to be eaten. If they're less than 4.5 inches across, they're put back into the sea.
Goodbye,
Oh,
fly away home. Get them cleared off and back in the water.
Yeah, you got the gloves.
Ain't got to hurt you, look.
It is. You got the gloves on. Ah, some crackers in there. Those are obviously all right, aren't
Yeah,
they?
that's a good crab. That one, nothing in that whatsoever.
No food?
No.
What do you mean? Why not?
Well, it malted late last year,
All right.
and he hasn't hardened up properly.
All right.
And he's quite soft. If you just push in that shell there,
Yeah.
can you feel that there's a bit of give in
Yeah,
that?
there is, yeah.
It's soft, there's nothing in that at all.
So you're going to let him grow
So
a
he'll
bit
go
more?
back in again.
They might look small, but I can tell you those pincers pinch.
So there's a pair of gloves, look. You're fully armed now.
No excuse now then. And just as well, because it looks like John's put me in charge of measuring the crabs. Only 1 in 5 of this catch is large enough to land.
He's just in, isn't
Yeah. Let me give you a tip. Just get hold of it like that.
he? You stop
You
there
can
for
measure it, it's not going to bite you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
You've got
but-
your gloves on, you're fully armed.
You just want me to get got. You think that's amusing? These too small.
Yeah, I'll try that one.
He's just trying to make me look like I can't do it. I can. Look at that. See? Big one. He's big enough.
Before the empty pots go back to the sea, they're baited with a fish called gurnard. Crabs love 'em. And just maybe John's seen talent in me after all, because that's the job he's given me.
Oh yeah, so I'm a accomplished fisherman, you know. Here we go.
You're accomplished, can you hurry up?
Once all the pots are baited, they're put back into the sea, ready to start the whole process again. John and his crew go crabbing almost every day, whatever the weather. But there's no hanging about. This catch has to be prepared for sale, pronto. So it's back to the shore, post haste.
We're here.
Are we parked?
We're parked.
That was brilliant, John. Thanks for teaching me the fisherman's stance.
That's no problem at all. At least you'll learn something today.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I've enjoyed that. And what I need is you to hold the crabs up a bit high. So it's just a kind of mug shot with crabs.
Mug shot with crabs, a
Yeah.
mug with crabs. you mean?
Yeah. Or crabs with a mug. I like the crabbing business. It's
just wonder why it's gone into decline, really, you know. We've obviously got a sustainable fishing area because they fish it in the right way. And I wonder why we don't make more of it.
Cromer may be famous for its crabs, but Norfolk's also very famous for its herring. And the bloater is a specially smoked herring that's unique to Norfolk. I'm going to find out what it is. Hello there.
Good morning.
I've come to investigate bloaters.
Bloaters?
Yeah, sounds horrible, but apparently it's a delicacy.
Well, they are a Norfolk tradition.
Yeah, I mean,
especially
we all know kind of kippers, and they're a kind of spread thing. What does a bloater look like?
Well, a bloater is a whole smoked, whole cold.
So that's a bloater
smoked
there?
Herring, yes.
It sounds wrong. I mean, normally,
No.
you know, you catch a fish, you gut it, it's clean, it's kind of...
I know,
seems to have all
but
the
for some reason it gives a lovely combination of flavours.
Do you not take anything out of it?
No, the preferred way is just to cook it whole.
Glenn has a smokery at the back of his shop. He cold smokes the herring for between 12 and 24 hours to add flavour without actually cooking the fish. I'm not sure about keeping the guts in, but, well, here goes. I guess the proof is in the eating.
Use my fingers. It's a lot juicier than a kipper. Do you eat a lot of these yourself?
I was brought up on bloaters.
Oh, yeah? Well, you don't look like
we
it.
we were a very poor family, and bloaters were 10 a penny. That was the only way the poor man got his protein.
Yeah. Well, lucky poor man, I say.
Surprisingly different to the kipper, the bloater. You wouldn't think it, would you? You know, same fish, more or less the same process. Bit of brine, bit of smoking. But it does taste a lot juicier. I'm on a journey around Britain in search of people who are passionate about our food and traditions.
I was brought up on bloaters.
Oh, yeah?
Today, I'm in Norfolk, where I've been pinched by pincers.
You've got your gloves on, you're fully armed.
You just want me to get got.
And later, I'll be cooking from the back of my caravan for a group who'll be singing for their supper. Can still taste those bloaters. Yes, I think I could do with some mince. Anyway, right now there's a festival in town, and I'm off for a look around.
Admiral Nelson was born in Norfolk, and he learned to sail in that sea there. And when you drive into Norfolk, the county sign says Norfolk, Nelson's County. So, what do you think they celebrate every year in a festival here? Yes. Crabs. It's not that they're obsessed or anything.
We've had festivals in Britain since medieval times, and lots of them are about giving thanks for food. Many of these ancient festivals continue today, but the meaning has sometimes got a little lost along the way. Like May Day, which originally celebrated the end of winter and fertility, is now a more genteel affair. Celebrating food is at the heart of many of our festivals, and last year the seaside towns of Cromer and Sheringham started their own event, the first ever dedicated to crabs. 30,000 visitors came to the Crab and Lobster Fair last year, and one of the biggest draws was the World Pier Crabbing Competition, where competitors dangle lines off the side of the pier and see who can catch the most crabs. I might just have a go at that myself a bit later. But first, I need a helping hand with the local lingo. Brenda Hayes has promised to give me some dialect coaching.
Am I talking in the right way?
No,
I sound a
you
bit like
aren't.
Pam Ayres.
No, you aren't, because Pam Ayres ain't Norfolk.
Isn't she?
No,
All right,
she ain't.
I've got that wrong. Yeah.
And you lot always get it wrong.
Get wrong. Yeah, do we?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what shouldn't we be saying?
If a Norfolk person is out of Norfolk,
Yeah.
they meet someone who they think come from Norfolk.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Stalin Test. Now, I tried this out on an old gal years ago in Plymouth.
Yeah.
She kept saying to me, "Good night, my dear," when I saw
Yeah.
her. So I thought, I'll try it out.
You thought she must be from Norfolk?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But you didn't
this-
know? So this is a kind of acid test?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I say to her, I want a word with you. Do your father keep a dicky ball? Well, her little old eyes, they lit up and she say, yes, yes, and he need a fool like you to ride him.
Goodness gracious, and that made you firm friends?
Oh, yes.
What does it mean?
That mean I know now, without a shadow of a doubt, she come from Norfolk.
Yeah, I know that, but what were you actually saying? What's a dicky ball?
Dear father,
Do your
keep
father?
a dicky ball.
Do your father keep a dicky
That's
ball?
a donkey.
It's a donkey?
Yeah.
All right.
And the answer is yes. And he need a fool like you to ride him.
Right, okay. Do your father keep a dicky ball?
No, you don't roll your R's at the end.
I'm not rolling my R's.
Do your father keep a dicky ball?
Do your father keep a dicky ball?
Bit better.
Dicky ball. Dicky ball. Do your father keep a dicky ball? Do your father keep a dicky ball?
Do
your
your
father
father
keep a
keep
dicky
a
ball?
dicky ball?
Do your father keep a dicky ball?
Yes, and he need a fool
Yes,
like
and he
you to
needed a
ride
fool
him.
like you to ride him. Is that near?
That's
Am I close?
about close.
Yeah.
Passable.
What do you say if you're really cross in Norfolk?
I'm suffering savage.
Oh, I'm suffering savage. I'm suffering savage. What does that mean?
That mean I'm really cross.
All right, I'm really cross. I remember that one.
I'm suffering savage.
I'm going to go and try these things out.
Okay.
Very, very nice to meet
Good
you.
on you. Bye.
Do your father keep a dicky ball?
And he need a fool like you to ride him.
Oh, I'm suffering savage. Time to put my new dialect skills to the test. What are you making here? What are these?
I'm making the ganses for the fishermen.
Gansies? Where's Brenda? Didn't tell me about Gansies. Gansy means what exactly? Is that the pattern or the whole thing?
Most people probably call it a jumper, but the fishermen call it a gansy.
Ah, right, Gansy. Right, that's another word learnt then. Now, this man's making a traditional lobster pot. I'm fairly sure he's from Norfolk, but there's only one way to find out. Do your father keep a dicky ball?
No, I don't. No. No, we ain't got no dicky.
Well, I think he's local. Last year, almost 100 people took part in the World Pier Crabbing Championships, but I think the wind and choppy seas might be putting them off this year. But fewer entrants is fine by me. Right. Let's suss out the competition. What's your technique?
Not really got much of a technique,
Yeah,
to be
just
honest.
throw some bait in on the end of a line.
Kind of throw it in and hope a bit. Bit of bacon in there.
Bacon?
Yeah. But,
You sure crabs like bacon?
I think I've heard that squid is meant to be quite good.
All right.
So,
But you put bacon in.
yeah, because that's all they've got at the shop at the end of the day.
How are you doing down here?
Very, very poorly at the moment.
By very poorly, do you mean you haven't caught any at all?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
What's your bad technique?
Spicy chicken and mouldy ham.
Yeah, well, I have to say I wouldn't go for that either.
Well, that's all that's in the fridge.
How have you caught so many?
Well, I
Are
use
you-
liver and squid.
You're using biscuits?
No,
As bait?
liver and squid.
Liver and squid?
Yeah.
Oh, see, they're using bacon down there. They haven't caught anything.
And
Good
then-
Lord, that's amazing. Are you catching something every throw?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Blimey, I'm losing valuable time here. I'd better get crabbing. I've got my bait, which actually looks, well, disgusting. Sammy, what do you reckon to this as bait?
Good. That's good.
Good?
Bait.
Do you think that's good? I wouldn't eat it myself. Do you, can you help me a bit? The last time I baited a crabbing line was, well, sometime in the 70s. A long time ago. But never fear, because Sammy's here.
You have to.
Always have someone to help you. Usually a former world champion, which you are. 11-year-old Sammy is back to defend his title as junior crabbing champion, which he won last year. Some people use bacon, I'm using fish, which I'm hoping will prove a winner. Not that I'm competitive or anything. Is there anything else I should know?
Not really. Just leave it for 5 or 10 minutes, and try and make sure it doesn't go underneath the pier. Otherwise, it'll get stuck.
Will it?
You have to swing it.
What's
out.
underneath the pier? Loads of bits of metal, I suppose.
Yeah, and you get stuck.
It's a bit like flying a kite, but not. How long have yours been in now?
Well, mine has been in for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and
I'll
then-
pull mine up. I got some.
Yeah, you got one. Got two. Have you?
Yep, 2.
I can't help thinking he's got an advantage with that huge net. I mean, is that in the rules? I've only got a little line.
Do you want to pick one up? Because I'll pick one up. Pick them up by the sides.
That bit there.
No, the sides.
Oh,
Because
God.
underneath they sometimes
Oh,
slip, yeah.
God, that will help. Ow, ow.
Ooh, the little blighter.
Yes, what a nice little crab. Marvellous. I'm going to bring mine up, see if there's anything there. There's nothing on there, is there? Were you catching with a net last year?
Yeah, and line.
How many did you get?
30, I think.
Really? Well, I think I'm going to go for a walk. I'll give it 10 minutes. If there's nothing there, when I come back, I'm going to blame you.
Oh, hello. Who's this then?
You're a very happy sailor.
Nothing more traditional to Britain than the lifeboat volunteers.
You got your lifeboat on the end there?
Yeah. You not been in?
No, should we go and have a look?
Come on, then.
Come on, then.
Let's go and have a look.
I'm trying to catch a crab, but I can't seem to find one. I imagine the lifeboat's part of the kind of fabric of Britain, isn't it, really? Because it's
all around the country.
Yeah, and it's also uniquely British, isn't it? Because there's no other voluntary services like this in other countries.
No, that's right.
You go to the Mediterranean, you fall in the sea, no one's going to come and help you. It's true.
Yeah.
People don't realise.
This part of the coast gets some pretty violent storms, and fishermen have often risked their lives bringing in their catches. Cromer's had a lifeboat station for more than 200 years, and they've recently acquired a new boat. Second coxswain Ade, great name, has given me permission to board.
Has it got a swimming pool and a casino?
Not quite. Mind your head.
All right. Why do you think people do it? Because it's, you know, it's such a dangerous thing to do, and yet I can see the satisfaction in it, but it's so dangerous, isn't it?
It can be, but you don't think of that when you're doing it. You know,
Yeah.
you're there to help someone who's, due whatever circumstance they're in at the time, needs that helping hand. We all do it because of that.
And all you guys are living in Cromer?
Yes, yeah, we're all Cromer, the outskirts, yeah.
Working, doing your regular job. What's your job?
I actually work for the RNLI.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
One of the few.
Yeah, I'm an assessor trainer, so I sort of, for the East Division part of the coast around here.
Yeah.
You know, assess the guys and help with the training. But
And the rest of them just waiting on the end of their telephones all day long, no matter what they're doing.
Well, they all carry a pager on here.
Yeah.
When that goes off, everyone gets down here as quickly and safely as possible
Yeah.
to get the job done.
Well, good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Cheers.
I better get back to my crabs. Given them a good 10 minutes to take the bait, and I'm feeling rather confident of a mighty catch.
Have you caught some while I've been away?
Yeah, one.
Right, I'm going to have a look, see what's happened.
Sammy's caught one. I should definitely have one.
It's not feeling very heavy.
Maybe it's just a little crab.
I've got nothing.
No.
So much for fish bait as a top tip.
Oh no, it's not down to the bottom, it's floating.
So I haven't got enough string.
No. I've been seeing it
The whole
out.
time I've been crabbing, I haven't had enough string, so my crabbing thingy isn't actually on the ocean floor where the crabs are. So basically I'm fishing with fish. Tell you what.
Shall I give you some string?
No, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you my string. Yeah, you can have my string, my orange thing, the bait, the bag, the hook, this thing, which stinks. I'm out of the crabbing game. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and I hope you win. Thanks very much. Hold them up higher. That's going to be marvellous. Thank you very much.
Can still taste that bloater. I mean, it's nice, but it's been 5 hours now. I'm travelling around Britain, tracking down traditions and customs. And in Norfolk, I've met some charming locals.
You're a very happy sailor.
I've tried some traditional food.
Excuse my fingers.
And next, I'm heading inland to visit a building that's very much a part of the landscape round here. Yes, you guessed it. I can still taste bloater.
Step back a few hundred years and you'd have seen loads and loads of windmills around here. Many of them were used for pumping water to drain the land, and the others were used for grinding grain to make bread. I'm off to meet a family who are determined to make a living the old-fashioned way, milling their own flour to make traditional bread.
Think of Norfolk, and you probably think of windmills. The first windmills arrived here in the late 12th century, and at one point there were almost 100. The long coastline brought sea breezes to the flat inland areas, making perfect windmill conditions. In the 19th century, with the invention of electricity, wind-driven mills were seen to be too unpredictable and were eventually replaced. Denver Mill in Downham Market was built in 1835 and milled flour for over 100 years until it was struck by lightning in the 1940s. It was closed for over 50 years, but now it's back up and running under the watchful eye of manager Mark Abel.
Hi, Mark.
Hi,
Ade. This is a fantastic building, isn't it?
It certainly is.
This is the last commercially working windmill in Norfolk.
Well, it's the last working one.
Yeah.
And,
right.
you know, we're trying to actually make it earn some money.
Yeah.
And we've been in here 3 years, and we're getting there.
You have to be kind of mad, don't you, to kind of do something like
Not
this?
kind of, just definitely.
What do you feel when you look at it?
That shows the sadness. I still feel a thrill every time,
Yeah.
particularly in the cab. When you see the engineering, the way that that operates,
Yeah.
it's absolutely fantastic.
Well, should we go in and see how it works?
Yeah, great.
Marvellous.
Come on in.
There's no better place to start than at the very top of the mill.
Well, here we are. This is the business end, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fantastic, isn't it? The noise is just brilliant. It feels slightly dangerous.
It is. Who expects it to be a lot noisier than it is?
Yeah.
It's surprising because we're wooden teeth, wooden gears.
Those teeth are wooden.
Yeah. As you go down, you'll see each matched pair. One side's wood, one side's cast iron to stop sparks, because
Right.
flour dust explodes. And so
Flour
difficult to-
explodes, remember that at home. It looks very much like a ship.
That's because it
Upside
basically
down.
is. Yeah.
Traditionally, the white caps on the top of the Norfolk windmills were built like upside-down boats.
The amount of force in that is immense, isn't it?
But
It's
we're-
amazing to think that we know here this is using wind and
That's
no
all.
electricity at all.
Well-
and now we're going back to wind. So we're sort of-
Absolutely. It's full
That
circle.
awful electricity period during the human
Oh,
race.
it's tedious.
Yes, lasted about 100 years. We've never really caught on. Well, should we go down and see what we're turning?
Yeah, yeah.
Marvellous.
All of this fantastic engineering converts the wind into enough energy to turn two huge millstones in the middle of the mill that crush the wheat to produce the flour.
Well, here we are, and the grain's obviously falling in there. Explain, as if I'm a very simple layman, which I am, how the two stones work.
The most important part is getting the wheat in the right place, the right rate, and the right time.
Yeah, in the right amount.
That's it. The gap between the stones is relatively insignificant.
And the gap is just caused by grooves in the stone. It's not an actual gap, is it?
It is an actual
Oh,
gap.
is it? Oh.
The thickness of flour.
Right.
The top stone,
Yeah.
you wind it up and down to get the gap that you want between them, and then the flour is effectively the lubricant. When it runs
I'm
dry,
beginning to understand.
when it runs dry, the stone bounces on the bottom stone and sparks, and hey, the mill's on fire again.
Right.
So we have to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, I had no idea that flour making could be so hazardous.
The actual delivery is done by the shoe, this device here.
Yeah.
It's got a wooden spring.
Yeah.
The only wearing part is the rubbing block here.
Are you keeping up at home?
The faster the wind blows, the faster the spur wheel gear is turning, the more frequently it's hit, so the fluid momentum builds up, so more weight goes in.
I love the way you love it. It's fantastic.
It's sad.
It's not sad, it's brilliant. But I want one. This process works from the top down, and on the ground floor is where the finished flour is put into bags.
And it's pouring all the flour into this kind of hollow tube down here,
Yeah.
which is coming down into a sack.
That's right.
It's all very simple.
I mean, just the feed rate, the speed at which the corn's going in with this here.
Okay.
And then we can check and see what's coming out. And that there, 3-second old flour.
Very nice. Well, we've got our flour.
We've got our flour.
Now make some bread.
Let's go make some bread.
Marvellous.
Mark has a bakery on site, The flour goes straight from the mill into the loaf. You can't get any fresher than that, can you? His master baker is Martin Ager, and he's going to show me how to make a traditional loaf.
So if you want to make a start, then just empty the yeast into the flour and just sort of rub it in as if like you were making
Oh, it's quite rubbery,
pastry.
isn't it?
Yep, yep.
We're using spelt flour for this loaf. Spelt is a very ancient grain and an ancestor of modern wheat. It went out of favour here in the 18th century because its hard husk made it expensive to mill. But over the last 30 years, it's had a resurgence with those looking for a tastier loaf. And spelt bread has become a Denver Mill favourite.
All the water and combine all the ingredients together with the spoon.
It's a very simple method, isn't it, making bread?
Absolutely, yes.
You know.
Right. I think we just need to throw that out onto some flour on here. And if you'd like to empty the contents of the bowl.
In a kind of big patty, as it were.
Yeah. So all we need to do now is to start the kneading process. The idea on kneading is to put some energy into the dough.
So if you didn't do any of this, you'd end up with a loaf that did what?
A loaf that didn't rise, essentially. I would say that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
Would you
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree with you there.
Excellent.
Yes, that seems about right to me.
Excellent.
The mixture needs to double in size, so while the yeast does its work, the dough is left for 45 minutes. And now it's my turn to do some kneading. Or as the true baker would say, knock it back.
That's excellent. And now we need to essentially form the shape of loaf that we want. Now, I generally make like a cob loaf. I just tuck the tuck it in, tuck the little bits underneath. Are you sure you haven't done this before?
I feel like a professional, but I know I'm not. So what do we do now?
At this stage, I think we need to put our mark on it in the windmill.
Just on the actual...
Plenty, although I think it needs a good drenching of flour. Yes, over the whole loaf.
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's not bad for a first attempt. We just need to let it prove for a second time, and it's into the oven to bake. I hope it rises to the challenge.
Look at that. Excellent. Excellent.
I love that. This is my spelt loaf, which it's actually got a rather bad end on it, but anyway, Martin says I can start Monday. Try that. Lovely and warm. You'd expect me to say it's very good. And it is. It's very good. Looking very proud of our produce.
Absolutely.
Look at that modern technology. Well, I never thought I'd be so childishly excited as I was just being in a windmill. How bizarre. Just pootling along the coast here. Very sort of marshy area, this, which is famous for a special little delicacy. I think. Yes. Hello. Hello there. You've got to sign up for Samphire.
Well, we've got a little bit up there. That's called Samphire.
Samphire?
Yeah, not Samphire.
Oh, you strange Norfolk folks and your weird way of talking. Can I have a taste of it? Is it?
Well, you've got to cook it first, but you want a bit? There's a nice little young shoot for you.
What is Samphire exactly?
Well, well, we just poor man's asparagus.
Yeah. It's kind of salty asparagus, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very, very nice.
Yeah. And it's a kind of wild thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but certain places where it grows better.
Is it? And do you know these secret places?
Oh yeah, I know everywhere around there.
You're the only man who gets it around these parts.
Yeah, that's lovely though. It's just...
That's delicious, isn't it? Well, can I take some?
Yeah, of course you can.
Brilliant.
And I'll sort you some out.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm in Norfolk on my travels around Great Britain, tracking down traditional food and time-honoured customs. I've been to some fascinating places. It looks very much like a ship.
That's because it basically is.
I've mastered the Norfolk dialect.
Dicky bowl. Dicky bowl. Do your father keep a dicky bowl?
Gathered ingredients from the sea. and the land.
Samphire.
Samphire?
Yeah, not Samphire.
All you strange Norfolk folks and your weird way of talking.
And now I'm going to cook up a tasty meal from the back of my caravan for some very lucky locals. My last stop today is one of the many traditional seaside towns that have sprung up along the Norfolk coast.
In Sheringham, the fishing and the crabbing industry are a shadow of what they used to be. And most of the people living here make their living out of tourism. And it was the Victorians who first used this as a holiday destination, and it's still very popular because it's got rather beautiful blue flag beaches. But it's the sea and seafaring that influenced the folk music around here. And as you know, I rather like my folk music, and I'm basically in Sheringham to listen to the Sheringham Shantymen.
The worst old brig that ever did wave sailed at a Harwich on a windy day. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day when we get our pay.
Roman times.
She was built in Roman times, held together with bits of twine. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day when we get our pay.
Lifeboat.
We carried on through to Sheringham Shoal. The lifeboat came and saved our soul. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day when we get our pay. Waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day when we get our pay.
I'm afraid I've got no money for you either. Very nice to see a band that enjoys themselves singing. And very nice to see a band where the average age is obviously, you know, well, probably best not to discuss it, but you've still got some groupies. Now, that was fantastic. I'm just going to cook you something, and then I might join you for another song. Is that all right? Cheers. See you in a minute. Right. Well, it's been a very windy day. Very windy in the windmill, very windy out to sea. Still very windy, so we've got our windbreak up. And I'm feeling a bit windy too. But never mind, I'm going to make now baked Cromer crab, which is one of the simplest dishes I'm ever going to make. Here are my dressed crabs.
To dress a crab, your fishmonger boils it, removes the nasty bits, and puts the flesh from the legs and body back into the shell.
Here's my other one. Into that. Very simple. I'm going to put some breadcrumbs. It's very windy. Just trying to keep them all in the pot. Into that, I'm going to squeeze the juice of one lemon. Now comes the secret ingredient. A little, oh, it doesn't have a label. I wonder what it is. Well, I'll tell you. It's just a little bit of cayenne pepper. Just a little bit. There we are, that'll do. And my other secret ingredient, malt vinegar. Just a couple of dabs of that. And that's basically the dish. Apart from, just get it mixed up. Right, there we are.
If you're not catching all of this, don't worry. There'll be recipe details a bit later on.
Really the most troublesome part of this dish is catching the crabs to begin with. Right. Just before I put them in, I'm going to sprinkle some extra little breadcrumbs on the top. Of course, the other thing is, I did make my own bread. But you can buy store-bought bread, I don't really mind. There we are. And finally, some Norfolk dapple cheese. Let's keep that, stop the wind from blowing it away. That's basically a baked Cromer crab. Into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Gas mark 7. It's looking all right. Ow, ow, ow. And ow, ow, ow. I'm serving my baked crabs with the fresh samphire. Oh, sorry, samphire. This needs very little cooking. A little bit of water, butter, and steam for 2 minutes. Don't add any salt, though. It will be salty enough. Brian?
That looks fantastic.
Dennis,
Thank you very much.
have a taste of that. I know it's hard standing up with only one hand. It's a baked Cromer crab. I imagine you've had them before.
Absolutely. But we're always game to have them again.
Yeah. And you fans of samphire?
Absolutely. I adore samphire.
We grew up on it, didn't we, Dennis?
We did indeed. Look at me. This is lovely. Couldn't come round next Saturday and cook the meal, could you?
Oh, that works for me.
Yeah. Well, these hard-working shantymen seem to like my dish. If you'd like to try making it, here's what you need to do. Empty the cooked crab meat into a bowl. I'd recommend dressed crabs, so someone else does all the fiddly bits for you. After breadcrumbs, add lemon juice, cayenne pepper and malt vinegar. Pack the mixture back into the crab shells, sprinkle the leftover breadcrumbs and cover with grated cheese. Any hard cheese will do, but as I'm in Norfolk, I'm using Norfolk Dapple. Then bake in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 220 degrees Celsius, gas mark 7. If you'd like more details from today's show, go to itv.com/food. And there you have it, a very speedy Norfolk treat, baked Cromer crab. So tell me about the Shantymen.
This is our 21st year.
Yeah.
It started off as a group of guys celebrating 150 years of an old rowing and sailing lifeboat, the Augusta. And
in Sheringham?
In Sheringham, yeah. Enjoyed it so much that we decided to keep going.
Right.
Didn't have a name then, it's just a group of guys.
Because when you're singing about waiting for your pay, actually, you never take any money,
That's
do you?
what they used to do, though.
This is all kind of raising funds for the lifeboat.
Yeah, we give it all away. We do it for charity, we do it
Yeah.
for the fun of it. And it is great fun, believe you me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, we have fun all the time.
Where do you find all the songs?
We hunt high and low. Most of them are traditional, and they're work songs.
Yeah.
So we use
Because
those.
there's a point in a shanty, isn't there?
Absolutely. Mostly in the merchant navy, but it was hard work. You know, the
Yeah.
guys hauling sails, hauling anchors, and so on.
Yeah.
And the shantyman's job was to actually give them rhythm and give them support, and give them something to go for.
Yeah.
And many of the words were tied in with the dirty old captains or whatever.
Yeah.
So you find that, you know,
It's a bit like the kind of marching
as they
songs
were.
they have today, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
sure you're
American
right.
GIs
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
that's
that.
right.
And have you been very far with them, with the Sheringham Shantymen?
We've been twice to America, to Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah, Germany, Holland, a couple of trips to Holland and Ireland. In actual fact, we bought a lifeboat. We raised the funds to buy a small inshore lifeboat, and which was presented to the RNLI station in Wicklow. So we went over and
That's brilliant.
well and truly launched it.
So that
as
was
you
it.
can
That
imagine.
was a boat entirely made by the funds that you'd raised.
Yes, yeah, we raised the funds for
Oh,
that.
you must
yeah.
feel very proud.
And indeed, yes. And we get occasionally we get an email to say that you know, it saves something off the beach or
Oh, that's
something on the
fantastic.
beach or something, which is very good, of course. Yeah.
Well, I would be honoured to be able to sing with you people. Would that be all right?
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Could we
good.
sing a song
I see no
together?
reason why. We can eat your food. You can sing with our food. How about that? How's that?
Hooray!
As we were a-fishing off Haysborough light, shooting and hauling and trawling all night. It was windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we'll all pull together. We sighted a treasure.
Well, that's it from Norfolk. They say it's very flat, but it's never dull. See you next time.
This windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows,